Oh, fuck, I forgot about this. That's how I like to start my podcast. Oh, shit,
it's
mate.
you.
Oh, no. A note I made. Mate, I was browsing through the BFI library the other day, as I have every right to do.
As a citizen.
As a citizen, our taxpayers pay for that place. And it's about time we started getting our fair share back. And it's going to start with eye candy.
Probably. You gotta get Michael Gove out of the archives there.
You gotta get him out of the archives and back to work. And that's what I was doing there. But just whilst I was there, I had a look through the shop. Very lovely little shop they have at the British Film Institute. I shouldn't take for granted that people, understand. You have to be a little bit in the know to understand the BFI.
But there's a shop there.
Yeah, it's the big fiendish investment.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty much what it's been to me. So, yeah, I went to the shop, which stands for Supervised Hospitality of Pensioners.
Pricks. Oh, okay. So,
yeah,
I mean,
pricks, that's it, pricks.
6 of one, 3 dozen of the other.
So I was there, and I noticed that there was a little horror stall set up selling things like the Wicker Man Blu-ray.
Ooh,
because
lovely.
a lot of people come to the BFI to buy the Wicker Man Blu-ray, which incidentally is getting a 4K screening in cinemas for one day only, and it's the summer solstice, which is quite fun.
Ooh, fantastic. Don't go to Stonehenge. Apparently, from modern accounts of going to Stonehenge on the solstice, cunts ruin it. So.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'd ruin it if I were a cunt.
Which you're
It'd be
not,
top
to
of the
be
wish
clear.
list, mate. Which I'm not.
Yeah,
Come on,
you're
everyone.
top notch.
I'm actually spiffing. But I tell you what was there.
Oh yeah.
Not cunts ruining everything except me. There was a book.
Uh-oh.
There was a book about a man.
Highly
A
irregular.
wonderful nam named Norman J. Warren. And this book was on prominent display in the middle of this table. It was just up and it was there and there was lots of copies and they had the cover. And it was like, I can't remember what the book was subtitled. It's something like a British horror legend.
Book.
And I was like, I know that name. It was subtitled Book. And I thought, I know this man. I picked it up. It is the man who directed 2 of the Gorehouse greats, Terror, and what was the other one? The one that was the other part of that sequence. The one about the girl whose parents died in a car crash minutes away from the house she was driving to.
Oh.
And then the devil.
Is that the Michael Goff one? No, it's not the Michael Goff one.
Yes, it is the Michael Goff one. This is the guy who got Michael Goff to buy all the chips.
Well, I feel like if somebody named Norman J. Warren came up to me asking for a penny, I'd end up with a bag of chips for him.
You'd end up with buying him all the chips he wants so he can direct the great films. Satan's Slave, that was called.
Oh, good, yes, of course.
And he also directed Inseminoid, which we haven't gotten around to yet, but has come out quite a bit during the research because it's called Inseminoid.
It's definitely in the public conscience, isn't it?
It really is. It's definitely been dropped a few times. So, yeah, I'm just very pleased that the BFI is celebrating the life of Norman J. Warren with this very glossy book, and I hope to purchase it and then share all of its secrets, potentially in the Patreon.
I'm very glad too, and I hope you purchase it.
And spend time reading it.
Yeah, and then just pricey it for me, if anything, and then we can do an even shorter version on the Patreon and fill the rest with dick jokes and maybe that porn AI.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll do that. I'm looking forward to the porny Christmas treat this year. I feel like it's going to be so advanced it'll actually be able to actually write our responses as well.
And you know, maybe just
will mostly be ha ha ha.
Yeah,
ha.
just record for us and do the whole thing really from beginning to end. Edit it.
Gotta hope so, mate. I really need some sort of AI to step in and start managing some of all this so that I can get back to working down the mine.
My true dream.
My true dream. Good thing, the podcast that actually is psychopathically delusional. I'm actual Jesus.
I'm Sir Fuckhead, and I'm always there.
That's the best thing about Sir Fuckhead, being there for you. Hal Ashby's being there for you.
Oh.
That was the sequel.
Oh God, well, I'm already out of my depth. I'm leaving.
Well, speaking of being out of your depth, the journey through Recommendations Country continues.
Uh-oh.
Through the blighted hellscape of Judge Dredd and into the horrific metropolis. But who beckons us thus?
Why, it's Jenny Sohn's Wonder fan.
It's Jenny Sohn.
Fan of many cities, many states, many stories. has done more work on this podcast than I have, arguably. And this continues today.
In her earnest efforts to keep us afloat. God bless Jenny Sons, because, yeah, she's invited us to follow the light of an intrepid orbit by charting Adrian Celli's sudden Manhattan.
I'm just trying to help you escape your fate.
What is my fate?
Horrible torture and then death.
That was a little better.
No, it wasn't. Not at all.
That's right! That's right!
Ah! Well, it was sudden.
Oh.
Tell you what.
Oh.
I prefer my Manhattan to ease into me.
I like my Manhattan like I like my man.
Hatton.
I like my cities like I like my man. Hatton.
Hatton. The answer's got to be Hatton, so work backwards from that.
There's a joke in there somewhere, guys. If you could just write in.
I'm insane. Somebody
if
please section me, Hatton.
Tell you what, let's run it through the AI.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Polish all this up for us. The film is written, directed, and starring by Adrian Shelley, who was principally an actress known for her work with Hal Hartley, which I believe is what brought this to Jenny's mind, because we mentioned Stuart Lee's mention of Hartley a few weeks ago, so that kind of
fantastic
nudged the sudden Manhattan loose in her head.
Did we now? I don't remember that, but I'll remember the joke, no doubt.
No reason to remember that, mate.
I can't remember names of artists whose art I've not imbibed or imbued.
No, it becomes tricky. It's one of these, I think, known unknowns, because you know don't know it. But that's always going to take secondary priority to known knowns at this stage.
And it is only one wank away from unknown unknowns in my mind. So
it really is. It slips away so very, very easily, what with the chronic wanking and the time schedule devoted to such. She also did some TV work and wrote and directed some more movies, the best of which is apparently 2007's Waitress, which came out sort of posthumously, and is the basis of the West End hit musical that you've potentially seen adverts for. I have here in London. There's a lot of Waitress stuff, and apparently that's based on that movie.
Oh, fantastic. Haven't seen that in Melbourne yet. It doesn't mean that it's not playing. I just haven't traversed the more boho theatrical avenues.
But you're so big on the Melbourne theatre scene.
Like me personally, yeah. My works and reputation precede me.
They do.
Like
None of them have been staged yet, but everybody knows this because no theatre is brave enough.
Pretty much all of them hacks, and I've burned down a lot of them. So
yeah, which just even the ones that agreed to stage, well, especially the ones that agreed to stage your stuff, which does make it very difficult to get the good press.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but I'm not going to fucking put them on show. People will see them then.
Stealing my ideas. What kind of idiot do you think I am?
What if Jerry Bruckheimer's there?
Cute fact, she met her husband on Match.com in 2001. Early adopter.
Jesus.
She got right in there. There was a Match.com.
Yeah.
Took 12 minutes to load OE profile. But, horrible fact. She was tragically murdered in 2006 under bizarre circumstances.
Yeah.
Which, eventually came out, and the correct person ended up going to jail. But her legacy lives on. There is the Adrian Shelley Foundation, which gives money to artists, and the Women Film Critics Circle gives out the Adrian Shelley Award to the film that most passionately opposes violence against women.
Yeah, fantastic.
The last winner was Women Talking,
of
with
course.
the runner-up She Said.
Oh, brilliant.
It's good stuff there.
That is good.
Tell you who wasn't in from Nasty Time, though, and that's the critics, because they received the film, like they all went to the trouble of stalking it and then didn't even go in.
Oh. Going dry, that's my motto.
It's the opportunities you didn't even take. It's the shots you didn't take that bother you later in life, Stephen Holden, the New York Times said, "This feels like a movie trying to work its way out of a chronic depression by snapping its fingers and pretending to be having fun. Few in the audience are likely to be fooled." Henry fooled? That was another Hal Hartley thing. But also, what a masterful way to disguise a depression by snapping your fingers and pretending to have a fun time.
Yeah, now hold on a minute, Stephen.
Stephen Holden minute.
Yeah, I didn't think of anything to say after that. I was just quite taken with the pun.
It was very good.
I kind of agree, and also agree with you, Salt. I mean, I feel like that's what TikTok's there for.
Spoiler alert, people. We're going to come around to this.
Spoiler alert on your own mental health issues. everyone.
Not everyone is as cold and dead as Stephen Holden.
Oh, good.
Oh, we've both given the game away. As the New York Times... Sorry, not everyone is as cold and dead as Stephen Holden at the New York Times, though.
Oh.
Alison Mackor, over at the Austin Chronicle, says,
happy
Shelley's
place.
knack for translating quirkiness to the screen extends well beyond her acting talent. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gotta appreciate that.
Oh, you know
But
her, do
Public,
you?
on the other hand, Alison Mackor at the Austin Chronicle is clearly living the best kind of life that we can live.
Semi-charmed.
Semi-charmed. Public, meanwhile, loved it and weren't lying or stealing or stalking it.
What?
Bionic Walker on Letterboxd said, in a 3-star review, kinda gothic?
Oh, okay. There's a brief delay when I thought you were referring to the star rating.
No.
Pretty gothic. Pretty goth, mate.
Pretty goth, giving things 3 stars. That's like the ultimate goth expression of admiration. 3 stars.
Marilyn Manson was notorious for it.
Oh, God. Well,
So
the film has
ambivalent.
67% based on 6 reviews, 6.1 on IMDb, that's a lot of 6s, and 3.3 on Letterboxd. So, yeah,
Okay.
pretty much 3 stars across the board.
Across the board, it's like
Across the pooled.
Iron Man.
Like a circuit board.
I don't know what one of those is, mate.
Nah, never needed one. Never needed one out here on the beach life. What's up, all you Gertie?
I don't want any more goddamn poi.
What's one thing about Southern Manhattan that made you want to kill people by running them down in the street?
I tell you, mate, eggs and shakers are sickly meal. And if there's gonna be one thing that's going to make me want to gun down people in a horrific killing spree, it's a combination of sickly fatty dairy and sickly fatty eggs ain't dairy, mate. I'm not fucking going on about
Eggs are dairy.
Eggs
I
aren't
think
dairy.
eggs are dairy.
Eggs ain't dairy.
I feel like
They're like
they're in the dairy aisle a lot. They're spending a lot of time hanging around with dairy, mate.
in
I think
the
at this stage they're a
Woolworths.
lost cause.
In the Woolworths I go to, tofu is always in the dairy aisle on that technicality.
Yeah.
So
I suppose in as much as they don't have anything to do with the mammary glands of mammals.
yeah, exactly.
That's probably the main thing excluding them from being dairy, eh, mate?
Ovoid. I don't know. Eggs.
They're ovoid, they're hard, they just don't have a lot in common with milk.
No. Ovoid, they're
Not
hard.
very much.
You get them if you play your cards. Right. That's breakfast.
Oh, yeah, mate, get your hand on them eggs.
Oh, get your hand on them eggs and go to Old Trafford for a football chant. What am I doing?
Well, before we do that, before we get into Old Trafford and all of its deeds, I think maybe that we should consider and think about and then reenact in our own ways in the toilet the events of Southern Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
Let's do that now.
Well, there's a voiceover, Paul.
No reason to get out of bed. No reason to brush my teeth. No reason to wash my face. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 on his forehead. 6, 7, 8. 8 zits. 1 less than yesterday. What happened to the missing zit? Where'd it go? 1 zit less.
Just make sure those numbers match the numbers that Henderson gave Carlson in the first quarter.
Just make sure those numbers match the numbers that Henderson gave to Carlson. Very important that those numbers match. Playwright. Eats macaroni and cheese for every meal. Likes women.
I love voiceovers.
The end.
What's this one saying? Is it about a mystical kingdom and various keys that need to be secured?
Kind of. It's
I hope so, mate.
It's telling us a story that predates the original story. That sort of puts Adrian Shelley's origins on some distant alien planet. And Sean Connery is there. And
I love it already.
And how could you go wrong from there? You can't, as far as we're concerned. Listen back to a couple of our episodes. But Adrian Shelley's playing Donna, and she's a neurotic, sort of fantastically
She's
imagined.
a fantastical, wonderful magic woman.
As all women are to me.
And yes, as they all are. They're wonderful,
Especially the
divine
horrible
creatures.
ones.
And especially they.
Okay.
We all know we've got a taste for it. Yeah, she wanders around. She is receiving flowers. She's doing quirky things like receiving flowers from a slightly pervy admirer that we don't know yet, but we get the voice.
An Englishman,
and we
though.
know an Englishman.
For
So
God's
you
sake.
know this is going to be absolutely horrific and terribly awkward.
I want to love you in any way you want me to love you.
Please.
Name the way.
No.
Just want to hold you, please.
No holding.
She try not to think about
just like
that.
all Englishmen.
Yeah. She gets strange sort of presentiments of things rumbling, like her breakfast, the aforementioned sickly eggs and shake meal.
Oh yeah,
that's a rumbling, and she tries to draw attention to it.
Those are some noisy eggs.
Them some noisy eggs, yo, she says, and everyone says,
"Oh, you're sick, mate.
Got no room for you in this town. Get out." And
yeah, they don't like her much.
No, for good reason, I say. Stay in your lane.
Oh, there's some sort of villain here, and I don't know who he is.
He's an Englishman,
Go on with it.
But it might not be Roger Rees.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, then that's literally worthless. That's the only one I'm willing to accept at this stage. He or anyone he plays, like
Tulse Looper,
Rupert Everett, or Tulse Looper.
He could play a Rupert Everett, actually, like a latter years Rupert.
I feel like
Everett.
he could be Rupert Leverett. Rupert Leverett. So yes, let's get off the premise.
Let's get off this fucking
actual
nonsense merry-go-round that is our lives.
Let's get off this merry-go-round that is our dwindling consciousness as hay fever gradually infects my sinuses and brain.
Fantastic.
Yeah, she goes for a little wander about and encounters some things, some strangers, and has some sort of things. And it's all very quirky and silly until she witnesses a murder.
Uh-oh.
That's what New York is like. It's all a good deal of fun until eventually someone gets gunned down directly in front of you. And that's when you find out who you really are. Who you really fucking are.
Schizoid, apparently, according to this film. She has no idea whether or not she saw the murder happen. So she goes to hang out with her friend, Princess Bubblegum.
You know? I mean, I just can't, you know?
He's an asshole, Georgie. He's a complete and utter asshole.
Donna, why is it you always know how to make me feel better?
Oh, yes. She hangs out with her friend, and then she also has a run-in with a man.
A man, Adam, the manest of all mans.
Mandem. She hangs out with the Mandem, and things get pretty shizzle.
Yeah.
So she ends up kind of sleeping with him, except he struggles in that department.
Performance anxiety or some sort of functional issue, and his response to that is to read some Dostoevsky.
Well, that never works.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, of course not. You want to read some Dostoevsky?
Sure.
Yes, because he's got indie movie penis, which is a terrible affliction.
It's too quirky. It's always zigzagging. And, but that's not the end of their story, so let's...
No, not yet. You're going to find out more. And speaking of things you will eventually find out more about, she goes to class.
Uh-oh.
Which is being run by a certain Mr. Tulse Looper Everett.
Rupert Level Up.
Rupert Level Up, who is flirting with her pretty heavily.
And is infatuously in love with her.
Oh my God, he is so infatuous. He's infatuosity, and it's gratuitous. It's infatuous.
It's gratuitous. It's flatulous. And it's definitely treacherous, I would say, considering the naivete of society.
Yeah.
But
it is at this stage, I think, that she hangs out with her friend Princess Bubblegum, and what's his name? Indie
Bloke.
Movie Penis shows up.
You, me, and everyone we know shows up, and
he shows up, and they have a bit of an interaction there.
Yeah.
That culminates in more disappointing sex. I know that Princess Bubblegum tries to come onto him.
Yes, quite.
I think they also then try and have a fuck.
They do also try and have a fuck, and it again doesn't work. And I think this time he opts for Tolstoy.
That's correct.
Yeah. There's some abstract scenes, which is all very good. Just
well,
imagine
we
that.
Love that. It's so much like Tolstoy, really.
Pretty much.
In fact, this whole thing is. It's incredible. So she goes off to fight in the Napoleonic Wars. But on her way back, she witnesses the same murder.
What?
What's that all about?
Is this what you've got for us, Manhattan? Just
already, I feel
day.
like I've kind of seen everything Manhattan has to offer. Like, the murders are very samey.
I think so. And I say this lightly, knowing that I'm probably just going to anger people. Just vary it, Manhattan.
Come on, guys. So she dips into a local grocery store where it turns out the guy is pretending to be a food inspector in order to get a bribe.
Yeah, I don't know.
The guy that she's been sleeping with.
I don't know whether or not, what layer this existed on. Was he actually a food inspector and took a bribe just took a bribe anyway? Or was he doing it for the bribe? Because if you're doing it for the bribes, you're going to fail that test.
He turns out to be a struggling actor eventually, so I think he's just pretending to be things in order to get the monies that he can use to treat Adrian Shelley just right.
Well, not that struggling then, because I believed him.
Oh, yeah.
I believe you.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, very talented actors can be struggling as well. I got your back, folks at home.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, we don't know what that's like because we're mentally quite robust, but...
We've never struggled with anything, and we've excelled at everything we do. I'm in sight and sound, just about.
Just about. You're propping the door open. They keep trying to close it.
I've written my name in it.
Yeah. They kept trying to close it, but the sound makes an endearing sound, so they've sort of endured.
It turns out they legally can't force me to leave. I mean, they say they can, but I don't believe it.
Yeah. But, it's all we can do nowadays. Anyway, we're in incredibly good shape mentally and physically. So we can't really...
Yeah, guys. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so we can't really relate to what's happening here, but we, like all critics do,
No.
they just
Furrow
your
their imagination and suppose that someone like Adrian Shelley might exist somewhere in the world. So she goes sees a psychic. That's the next thing to do.
What? Your guardian angel is named Gaumier, patron of locksmiths. Invoke him in times of trouble. Your aura is mucky. In the Gray family, couple of freckles, need some work. See, you feel that you are not being loved the way you would like to be loved.
Who is?
My image of you in a past life is of a little Dutch boy carrying a pail of water up a hill.
Watch the fuck out.
Yeah. Watch out, bitch, she says. And then
you
jangles a money
might
coin.
be in an indie movie. So be careful. Maintain a quirky, upbeat spirit and you'll probably be okay.
Probably. If you can just throw in a couple of non sequiturs. Cheese, she says. And she goes, get out.
Great. You're going to make it out of this.
I was in happiness, says the soothsayer, and that's the most terrifying thing that we've had so far.
She correctly gets the fuck out of there. And it's all very good.
Yep.
So she goes to the street and encounters the actor again. Only this time he's a hot dog man.
Uh-oh.
What
are these actors
what could
like?
This possibly mean? Then she goes to a dinner party with Princess Bubblegum, I feel like, and it's somewhat tense and awkward.
It's kind of tense, very middle class waspy, and
love that.
Also
gotta love that situation.
Cultural appropriation-y. And then Adam shows up again. What is he like? Can't you just literally leave
Who's
me alone?
this guy?
Please stop stalking me. Although this is quite romantic.
Look, it's an indie movie, so it's hard to read the signals. You are either eccentric or a danger.
Have you seen Eagle versus Shark? It's very hard to figure it out.
I'm not prepared to hang around for long enough to figure it out. So she puts on a disguise and goes back to the diner, where she is hoping to scope out and sort of spot another murder and take some records, but it doesn't work this time.
No. And is this when she finds out that Adam is a struggling actor?
Yes, I believe so. And she goes back to the psychic about it, who continues to be somewhat menacing about everything. I don't remember a lot of what comes out of the psychic scene.
She says,
to be honest.
Did you realize that Murphy, played by Roger Rees, is in Cheers? She said.
Oh!
No, I absolutely didn't, she said. Well.
Wait, Murphy is in Cheers, not Roger Rees.
I tell you, no, here's a secret, Paul. Not a lot of people know this.
Uh-oh.
In films, the characters are usually played by what we call actors. And it's like, this is their job to pretend to be other people.
But that's not the case in this case, where, as you say, Murphy, played by Roger Rees, was in Cheers.
Oh, no, that's completely unrelated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. This guy just happens to be... He's also a struggling actor, and I think that's beautiful. So, yeah, she goes to the diner, she gets the headshot of the guy who keeps showing up in her life.
She's in the fucking head.
Double sees the murder again.
What?
It's ridiculous at this stage.
Pull the other one, mate.
It's just... God, you really need to start going down a different street.
It's desperate, to be honest.
So,
it's pretty unattractive. It's still attractive enough for me to fuck.
It's not
but I expect to be turned down.
Speaking of attractive enough to fuck, at this stage she finds Roger Rees pulling off the ultimate gambit in terms of trying to seduce a woman. He's hiding in her basement.
Yeah, he does own the building.
Begging her. He does own the building, so he can hide in the basement for as long as he likes, and it's entirely reasonable to do.
You're allowed to in the UK.
My landlord's still down there.
That's how one of my old landlords used to fucking treat his role as landlord.
He'd just be there.
He'd just walk in the morning when we're all in bed and just check on a few things.
Love it.
Legend.
Well, just check on a few things. You got to check on a few things.
He was a Southeast Londoner though, so you never questioned it.
That is true.
Not allowed.
You never know what the fuck's going on.
Oh god.
She tries calling home, and that goes incredibly well.
Yeah.
And at this stage, I think people converge on her apartment, and I start getting mixed nuts flashbacks.
Mixed nuts is
including
definitely
two guys, incidentally.
Yes.
There are two dudes.
Andy Samberg.
Yes, and Andy Samberg.
Other man, Chris O'Donnell.
And what's his name from fucking Scream?
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew Lillard.
We never watch sports anymore.
No, we hate them now.
We figured it out. Somebody wins, means other people have to lose.
And if anybody has to lose, then there's unnecessary pain in the world.
And there shouldn't be any unnecessary pain in the world.
Everybody should win.
So we don't like sports. You like gardening?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Matthew Lillard
I also
and
got
Andy Samberg.
Yes.
Oh no, he looks more like Johnny Lee Miller actually. Looking at him now.
Oh my god!
Spoiler alert, guys. I'm scrolling through the fucking movie whilst we're talking about this. I didn't take any plot notes this week, and it shows.
Does it, or have you returned to your liberal roots? Small L liberal.
I guess so, but it would have been nice to have said a joke in the last half hour.
Well, sometimes, Paul, we record these episodes and no jokes are forthcoming, and I think that says a lot about, not our mental states, because as I said, they're robust, but just the layers of the film and us trying to grapple with what might or might not have happened and in what order.
And what might or might not be happening inside of my sinuses.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's just
fucking party, and all the hate allergens are invited.
Sometimes it's just the indicator of perfect mental health. I don't want to sound like I'm protesting too much, but I really have to emphasize how healthy we both are. Thank you for asking.
I really think we need to stress the fact that we're not here to impress you, although we are.
Yeah.
And I really hope that we're succeeding, because my God, if we're not.
And if that sounded desperate,
for naught.
Yeah, then that says more about you, actually, listeners.
It
so
actually
fucking
does.
check your privilege,
to judge us. I know, right? So at this stage, everybody goes to the psychic.
Wonderful.
They all go to the psychic and have a lovely big joint session, which culminates in some of them not wearing shirts. I didn't notice that when I watched this, I've got to be honest.
Running around doing indigenous American impressions, which is all
Love
good.
That.
Doesn't
Yep, that's extremely good. So, yeah, she at this stage decides to just go and fucking confront the guy because she feels like having a third act.
Why not? We're only an hour in, for God's sake.
Well, why not? Let's get the ball rolling. He's a bit weird and has two personalities, and everything's a bit uncomfortable for a bit, and then they run away.
Yeah, the murder did happen, apparently, a lot of times.
Yeah, the murder was happening a lot. He was cunningly disguising it as the exact same murder over and over.
It was his favourite way of murdering, is the thing. We've all got one.
It was. And so she gives it a go as well and finds that it is quite good because she murders him.
Yeah.
And gets off with the bloke successfully this time, I think.
Well, no, he kisses her. He's very forthcoming about it, but then the next scene in bed is all disappointing again.
Oh, maybe you could just trip yourself on his great abs. We didn't mention his rippling, muscular, torsional abs that he had throughout this whole thing, guys.
Oh, mate.
But it was impressive.
Tell you what, we flicked him in 1996. Still going.
It's a new. That sounds like some sort of customer assurance model that you get in adverts. Like, we flicked every ab in this shop.
In 1996,
my daddy started this ab shop with a dream, and we guarantee to you, if you can flick one of our abs and hear a squeal, we'll give you the money back. What is this shop? Doesn't matter.
Toys R Us. Went really wrong.
It's Toys R Us. They've gotten into nasty stomach anatomy.
Ab attacks.
And it's about time. It is about time. Well, that was sudden Manhattan.
Yeah.
It really was sudden.
And yet, for an hour and 20 minutes, Paul, it also felt perennial.
Ooh.
And that led to, I mean, that's a result of a fairly disorienting experience I found watching this movie.
It was disorienting.
And disjointed.
Very much that.
I would say.
Yeah. I have to say, I think I actually really like this one. I really like the atmosphere of it. I think that Adrian Shelley is really charming in the lead. I think it is funny. It's very cleverly written. It has the quirkiness thing, which I think might put some people off at first, but I think on rewatches, this is only going to get better and more interesting.
I have nothing to do. I never have anything to do. There isn't anything to do. Nothing needs to be done.
I've not actually seen a Hal Hartley film, but based on some things I've watched of his work, it looks like it's fairly consistent, but this is dialed up a bit even further.
Okay.
So
is it like Mixed Nuts?
It's not like Mixed Nuts, and I think the thing about Mixed Nuts is that everybody in that was I think one great thing is I really enjoyed the tone of this one.
Okay.
People weren't yelling at each other. They weren't chasing
Yes.
each other around. They weren't ridiculous, horrible caricatures. They were just kind of detached, muted, and it suited the sort of jazz score that the whole thing had. So I found it just to be this kind of very ambient, kind of experimental thing, which made me laugh and was endearing.
I will find a good reason. Good reason to have clean teeth and a face. Okay, here we go. Accepting life, smiling to the world.
Yeah, no, like I mean,
had a nice time with it.
No, I will say there was a lot to like in it. I didn't dislike this necessarily. I found a good half of it was it demonstrated certain flourishes or finesse that I'll get into in the quick fires, just little turns of phrase or jokes or just a really believable scene between characters. The beginning especially, it felt like a t-shirt with a witty quip on the front of it that was being demonstrably quirky, and I found that quite tiring whenever that element came to the forefront, and that's kind of what made this hour 20 movie drag a bit for me. It was a little jarring, and it kind of ejected me from engaging with this movie on any sort of emotional or comedic level. But then I think all like the nature of this film being quirky, it does hinges on the performances and the comedy. And it's just a case of a lot of the humor just didn't land for me, although a lot of it did. But it was quite easily split down the middle, and the stuff that didn't land it almost felt like that pause for laughter thing of we know we're telling you a joke, and I think this is very funny, and I felt I was being told that this is very funny at the same time. But yeah, it had a lot to like. It had it's an unfortunate comparison based on The Man, but it reminded me of like 70s and 80s Woody Allen at times.
Yeah, it has that quality to it, but with a sort of more modern kind of Noah Baumbach kind of feel to it as well, which obviously this would be an antecedent to.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Noah Baumbach is a really good comparison actually, because I find that I can really, really like Noah Baumbach, and I can sometimes find his movies insufferable, and this movie sort of straddled the line between those. Insufferable, not insufferable, but it was a bit much at times.
A little too knowing, perhaps, because it is very early on. It asks a lot of you in terms of whether or not you're on board with it, because it has this tone that it comes over with, very much like Detention, and by comparison, it definitely flourishes. We start off with these scenes. It's very soft. It's very sad. It's very quirky, but it's also, I don't know, just kind of wistful in a way that I sort of found it very easy to go along with. It's her waking up and narrating that she feels a lack of purpose, and we have the lovely music and her sort of wandering around New York in what is sort of, I don't know, moments that reminded me of like a low-stress Beau is Afraid, where everybody is sort of a slightly amplified version of themselves, and the dangers on the street are a bit silly and absurd, but in a way that I just found kind of absorbing, and I really enjoyed her camera work. I found it very kind of naturalistic and a sort of just very subdued, but in a way that just didn't feel, it had no gloss to it whatsoever. It reminded me of Wanda, this movie by like Barbara Loden. Only that's even more sort of infused with the sort of energy of the street and of rural spaces. This film's obviously a bit more sentimental than that, but it still really got me to where I wanted to be, which was within her perspective. And it was one I could find a fair few points of relation at the moment.
Lovely. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot there. Interestingly, the music is one of the things I found a little grating, because it to me it sounded a little bit like stock jazz. Didn't rather than finding it pleasant, I found it a bit. I think it added to that feeling of working too hard to have everything be on the nose. And I just feel like there's a lot of this film that I just think it should have kept a bit more close to its chest, rather than expose so many of the ideas to air. The voiceover, I liked a lot of the sentiments, and the writing actually was pretty good. I think sometimes I wish the voiceover was just sparser and demonstrated a bit more in her going about. I think when she's sitting, there's a moment when she's sitting in the diner, and when she's saying she has nothing to do and nothing to look forward to, I forget the line, but she's also writing it down on a notepad. It would have been more effective to me to just have that written down in an otherwise quiet scene in the diner. It would have been much more powerful for me. And yeah, it wasn't an unpleasant watch, and it wasn't difficult. It certainly, wasn't even a fraction of detention the other week, which was really difficult for my, in terms of my soul's integrity to sit through. This was relatively
genuinely crazy.
Yeah, this was relatively pleasant, but being in this nice sort of equilibrium, those moments that were a bit more forceful, that I felt needed to be a little subtler, are just sort of just gently pushing me out of the moment.
I think I found that there was enough sort of mysteriousness around the sort of things that she was experiencing. There was enough sort of ambiguity around like why the breakfast is making noise and what that could mean, and sort of, little things like that. In terms of the narration, I found I quite enjoyed it in terms of setting the tone. I found a better appreciation for narration lately when it does well to sort of set the kind of atmosphere of the piece. And I think it's so infused with her performance, which is this kind of sleepy, laid back, kind of spaced out, detached quality to it. That I find that it really matched her kind of performance and the sort of languid camera movement, and it just created this atmosphere that I found very absorbing.
Yeah, right.
And I think it helped. I watched it quite late at night, sort of after various things that are going on this week.
Yeah.
And I think it just had me in the right mindset, and I kind of sank into it.
Oh,
and
nice.
I watched it with my two flatmates, at least part of it, then they had to go to bed. But Amelia was talking about how she couldn't put her finger on it, but there was something that she just really enjoyed about it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It has that quality to it, that slight je ne sais quoi.
That ich weiß das nicht. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
An ever so slight I didn't ken.
Don't have a fucking clue, mate.
What are you on about? It's quality to it.
Yeah.
And that is what really brought it home for me.
Lovely.
I'll tell you what else did.
Uh-oh.
Big list of quickfires. Quickfire.
Yes.
OG team,
actually,
later.
Yes.
Don't you jump ahead, OG team. We've got a space for you.
Yeah, you
nice and warm.
Just wait your turn, OG team. We've got a little nook for you. Get in the nook.
We got a little nook. Get in there.
Now face the wall. You can crawl and turn around at the same time.
Face the wall of the nook.
Okay.
My first two is just the music and the fact that Shelley is charming, so we'll take those.
Lovely. I'll take them.
Put those out there.
My first quick fire is I really like the scene with Murphy, between Donna and Murphy, Adrian Shelley and Roger Rees, the actor.
Roger Rees from The West Wing.
Yes, Tulsa Looper himself. I keep saying this as if I've seen it. I just want to impress Paul. But I really like their scene. It really...
It's working, folks.
Yes! What was that? Wait, what was that, mate?
Something. It was something about how my new body wash treatment is really working.
Oh, fantastic. I bet it is. You look like you smell amazing.
I should do, because I've got loads of farmyard animals gathered around me.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what something that smells amazing does.
I've seen that for sure. But I really like the scene with Donna and Murphy, because even though the dialogue, there's an artifice there because they're playing this word game at the beginning of it, but even that feels totally natural. And it feels like they've known each other for a while, and which they have in the movie. And there's actually a line in this where Murphy is making advances once again.
I love you so much I can scarcely breathe. Don't respond.
It's that lovely English
really
double syllabled vowel. Child.
Also, it just so beautifully sets up the idea that he's performing this grief, and it's very important for him to do so.
Yeah.
It's utterly unimportant what her response is to it.
Yeah.
She's just got to be the muse for him to be tragic about.
Yes. Please be this wonderful woman that I can,
that I can never
fix
have.
and also never have. Drop me pencil.
Oh yeah, I've got that. Don't respond. Good stuff. Okay, I'll say the omelette looks good. Good looking omelette she gets served, I thought.
It did look good.
It looked good. It looked fluffy. I like a fluffy omelette.
Do you know what, Paul? I like a fluffy omelette, and I'm not afraid to say it, and I don't care what that earns me.
They're very fond of these very thin crepe-looking things, but sometimes you just want a big fluffy fella.
Sometimes you do, and like even though I'd like a couple of slices of fairly crunchy buttery toast to go along with that. You can't just have that egg and a shake. It's far too sickly for England. God damn it! No wonder America is utterly unknowable. It's still
you're going to get very little done, and you'll probably only end up investigating the murder you witnessed several days later if you have that kind of breakfast.
Yeah, you got to balance those macros. Yeah. When Adam and Donna are around their friend Princess Bubblegum's house, she ends up being, Princess Bubblegum is heavily Xanaxed, and she's an inch from his face, and Adam is doing a wonderful, almost Broden Kelly-esque face. as he abides her being close to him, which is wonderful.
Amazing. Oh, I like the fact that when she's trying to find out if this murder has happened, get any information, she's watching the news, and the news reporter just says, "No murders in Manhattan for a week."
Tomorrow's weather and some good news for New Yorkers. The NYPD is proud to announce that there has been no homicide in Manhattan for a full week.
And everybody knows that that's weird.
Blunt and silly.
Yeah, that was good. The second hard cut to Donna and Adam making out was great, because the first one, her first one, I thought was sort of clumsily set up with him, apropos of almost nothing, reaching a hand out and touching her hand, and then it cuts to the sex. To the sex, which is what I like to say. And but the second time, her Xanax friend leaves or lies down or something, and they share a bit of a look, and then it's a hard cut to making out, and that took me by surprise and got a little laugh out of me. You see?
Love that kind of thing. I like it that when the boyfriend shows up at the house, I say the boyfriend, when the love interest shows up at the house and takes a seat with Princess Bubblegum, the way she is just staring at him is so sort of over the top, kind of amusing. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
Fantastic.
I enjoyed the sort of obliviousness of it.
That's cool. I was intrigued the second time Donna sees the guy shooting. Made me think, what are they exploring here? This is Kaufman-esque.
Ooh. What's going on inside of this thing?
I'm into this. They should do something like this, but about being John Malkovich, literally being him.
They should do something like this, but about me.
John Malkovich, rip off my mask.
Then we'll just have I don't want any more poi.
Yep, that's a good one.
Here, darling, have some more poi.
I don't want any more goddamn poi.
That's a good line to yell.
I did enjoy that. That scene starts with a pretty good cut to that dinner party, and Princess Bubblegum at the head of the table, and I liked them wishing her a happy birthday in presumably Hawaiian and the exaggerated, presumably traditional gestures that are performed by this waspy mum. Is a special kind of hell to watch.
Oh yeah, gotta love that.
Oh yeah, it's the law.
It's just like everybody's least favorite scene in Let It Clease.
Oh mate, don't get me started on that. And
that bloody scene ruins the whole affair.
Fuck, it's just a man.
Fuck you know. Antonioni, what you playing at, son?
You muppet, you fucking soppy muppet.
You fucked that one, didn't you?
Muppet, what are you doing? Don't you know this is a birthday party?
Croydon. Oh yeah, I liked it when she's trying to lie in the shop, and she's just loudly yelling about doing music videos.
Yeah.
Because she wants the artist headshot, and she.
Music videos. I do music videos all the time. You know, he's got a great face for that. I will, cast him in a music video.
Miss, you can't just.
And he'll make a lot of money, and you'll get credit. Star Diner.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Good stuff.
The line.
I had just witnessed a murder.
And you didn't say anything?
Well, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe I'd made it up in my mind.
Are you normally psychopathically delusional?
No, I'm just going through a bad stage.
Right.
Delivered very matter of fact as she's trying to describe having seen the murder again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
I like that. I also like a line of hers when I think it's something like, she asks what he wants to do. I can't maybe even remember who it is. But he replies that he just wants to live in, like, desperation forever, and she just replies,
Problem is, I don't really want to die. I just want to suffer.
Well, good. Then everything's all set up for that.
Yeah. Nice.
Like, great, there's nothing new needs to happen for that to go ahead.
I do like the delivery of that line as well. Don't really want to die.
Yeah.
Just want to suffer. I did enjoy Adam when his failed sexual escapades result in him, let's read some Dostoevsky, and let's read some Tolstoy, and then he just very dryly reads aloud from a tome.
As if he's struggling slightly.
It is really like just inviting somebody up to show them your etchings and then actually showing them the etchings. Oh, great.
I enjoyed the reveal that everybody is around the psychic's table. That was quite funny because we see them march out, but then when it cuts from the psychic to a wide and just every character we've met so far is just around the table.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite funny.
Yeah, that's cool. When Donna first calls the soothsayer, she's in a phone booth and she's talking and establishing something. He's like, and then, oh, really? Is it 3:00 in the morning already? Which is very, you don't really draw attention to it after that. It's a very nice detail, and also the sheer lack of surprise or care that it is actually 3:00 in the morning, and she's calling this person was really well performed.
Yeah, I really like that. I think it's the question, are you the person who murders people? And he just takes a beat and then says, yes, I am.
Yeah.
Are you the Jacob who's been killing people by gunning them down in the street?
Yes, I am.
Yes, he is. Good. Case solved. Let's go home.
When they first confront him, I quite enjoy that.
And I like the way he talks about his murders like they're his favourite biscuit. Like, what I really love to do is make them run away as fast as they can, and then I shoot them in the back. I love them. I love it.
Which is hilarious when we've seen it happen 4 times.
Yeah.
It's just such a great... Because there's no need to say it all out, but doing so is a funny redundancy.
No. And I'll keep talking about this scene, and then I'll go back because we're really jumping ahead of my my quickfire list. But
oh no!
Oh yes! Oh no! Oh yeah! No! He starts referring to his twin, also played by this guy, as his sister, and the reality of the movie gets a bit screwy. So and he refers to his twin himself as a sister.
Yeah.
Comes out, and then Adam immediately starts addressing them as ma'am, which is really endearing and overly respectful of this guy. It's kind of cute.
Oh, I have the line.
I had a best friend in grade school whose name was Donna. But then she stole my boyfriend, and I killed her in the shed with a pitchfork.
That's good stuff. Yeah.
So I really like the soothsayer in general. Delivery was very no frills and gruff. I can see how she ended up being in the film Happiness, with the most unsettling Philip Seymour Hoffman possible.
Love that.
And then
love that flavour of Hoff.
Yeah, that flavour Hoff. And then when that's flavour Hoff, kids. And then at the end,
Tony Flavour Hoff.
Philip Seymour Hoffman plays Tony Flavour Hoff. I know, everyone. It's that good.
It's gonna be that good.
And she says, "Now for that special reading, you owe me $75." And Donna goes,
"For the special mixed reading, you owe me $75.
$75?
As it like the alternative would be cents.
Yeah.
Which is good. Very nicely gets across the fucking broke in Manhattan.
She's so fucking broke.
She's so fucking broke, son.
So yes, my last one,
okay,
as it turns out,
Oop.
is when the guy is like doing these 2 personalities and is coming back and forth between the room.
This is stupid. How ridiculous is this? Gertie, Esau, Magda. He's the same person. He doesn't even bother to put a hat on or anything.
It's just like it'd be more convincing if he put a hat on or something. She's so disappointed.
Just made a fucking effort.
How rubbish this is.
Yeah. I did like. There's not even a fucking hat on. I did like the part of the voiceover where she's repeatedly singing,
I'm stuck in the vortex.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a fair amount.
Oh, it was very sleepy and bored. It was similar sort of effect as ASMR. It became a very pleasant thing to listen to over and again.
Fair amount of her voiceover did that for me.
Yeah.
Very dreamy and kind of... Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, when Noise Donna is talking to Adam about the murderer, and she's sort of frantically explaining that these murders definitely happened, and she's like, "Oh, I know what he looks like." Well, what does he look like? He has a beard, which I liked as an exchange.
Yeah.
And when one of the other soothsayer appointments ends, Donna has called herself Agnes to the soothsayer. And she goes, "Agnes, that is quite a story." And Donna goes, "My name's Donna." And the soothsayer just makes of course it is, face, which is really shitty and great.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
She then follows on to say, "Please leave, your face causes me great guilt and grief."
Yes, I had that written down too. I couldn't remember who said that, but it's very good.
That's excellent. When she comes across Murphy just sitting down in the cellar, he accosts her romantically, and in between all of his lines, she just gets out of, "You just sit here," really drawing attention to the ridiculousness of this supposed romantic moment in his head. And two more. I really liked the two guys Bubblegum Princess brings home. They played off one another really well. They're
quite sweet.
Their dialogue, their duologue, where they're sitting on the sofa and just talking about all kinds of stuff, is so well timed and so well paced and delivered. And I think the Johnny Lee Miller of the two has these wonderfully strange, intense nothing faces after finishing a thought, after finishing like a supposed punchline. And they mentioned this meditation center once or twice, and they're going to be bringing Princess Bubblegum there, and they try and encourage Donna to come along with them. And as the scene escalates, she suddenly yells that there's so much shouting, and then one of these guys really quietly just goes, "It's very quiet at the meditation center." And it's very, very good.
That's good.
It really made me laugh.
That's a good line.
And I'll finish with the final line in the movie. Actually, it ends with this, another failed intercoursal moment, as I like to say to the ladies. And she says, rips the book out of his hands and throws it. And she says, "Let's just talk about something instead." And he says, "Well, what do you want to talk about?" She says,
"Just think of something. Mention it, and I'll respond." I promise I'll respond.
And I really liked that. I really liked that line. That was a very heartfelt.
That was really cute.
Very heartfelt, genuine line.
Yeah, it was lovely and really just works so well with the charm that Adrian Shelley brought to the role.
Yeah. So,
excellent.
A lot of positives.
Well, that's pretty much all we've got.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the OG team.
OG team.
Okay, right. Jennifer Sohn says, "This is a film that I've had on DVD for many years, but saved to enjoy rarely. My most recent time was about 2 months ago. To paraphrase Dave Barry, it warmed shit out of my cockles. Big trouble."
Nice.
Gotta love that. It seems impossible that it was made in 1996, as it truly feels timeless. The story of a person who is creative and too observant for their own good, trying to understand what the world is asking of them and what they should be asking for themselves. Everyone tells Donna how to think or feel. It is easy to empathize with her tendency to give others what they want while being adrift in her own mind. Time for red wig action. The darkness of the story is tinged with humor and really does give me notes of Lynch this time around, especially the noisy eggs. Agreed with the noisy eggs. Yeah, when it's
noisy
zooming
eggs.
into noisy eggs, I'm just thinking of Blue Velvet.
Yeah, okay.
The cast is also amazing. A pre-Adventure Time Hynden Walsh, Roger Rees bringing impeccable comic timing, just like the Sheriff of Rottingham.
Yep, and the Sheriff of Rottingham.
Yeah, the Sheriff of Rottingham. And Tim Guinea is just in everything now. It's in everything, literally everything. That's the hefty workload.
That's legally dubious. I'd be careful if I were you, Mr. Guinea.
I would really be careful throwing assertions like that around about Tim Guinea.
Extremely litigious.
Everyone should have their own Dominga, but would anyone listen to her? My favourite scene would have to be the speech from Joe, whom Dominga brings in while he is taking out his trash. I couldn't find a clip, but it is almost exactly an hour in and cuts through all of the pretense.
Nice.
And then the klezmer. Thank you so much for watching this strange little film. And watch out for the dark magician.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God. He's going to get you. That dark magician. Thank you very much, Jennifer Sohn.
Thanks, Jenny.
But, tell you what.
Jenny?
We've also heard from Ellen Graham.
Oh, what? How does she have the time?
No, she has no time, and yet she gives it to us.
That's humbling.
It's humbling.
You can never give that back.
And I think we all need to do some sort of treat for Ellen, who says, I'll have to check this one out. I love Waitress and think it's such a beautiful, earnest, and creative film. It's a shame that she didn't get to make more.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Sohn bloody replies to Ellen Graham as if we weren't even here in the room.
Oh, God, I don't enjoy this. They might forget about us altogether.
If they figure out for a minute that they don't actually need us to communicate with each other, we're doomed, mate.
We're fucked.
Doomed. We'd be fucked if they realize that.
Fucked.
Jennifer Sohn says, so glad that you know Waitress. It is lovely and fun, but this one really gets me deep in the feels. Hope you have a chance to watch it. Well, I hope that too. I also hope that.
I hope everyone has a chance to watch it. And to speak
hope
more
that the world watches this film.
And to speak more generally, I want to say, hey everyone, I hope you have a chance to watch it. And if somebody says, what's it? You just do like jazz hands.
Well, watch it.
Just watch it, and you'll see.
Hey everyone, watch it. And you know who else who should watch it? Is Ellen and Jenny.
Yeah.
Because they are perennial members of the OG team.
OG team, no benefits mentioned.
Let's check in with the one better thing.
That's us.
Do it now. The one better thing.
Who the hell is the one better
what
thing
have
here?
You got?
Well, this preceded like both of my one better things, and I feel like it does. For all my issues with it, it deserves. I think it deserves being seen because it is. Yeah, it is as Jenny said, and as Ellen, I imagine, will say, the predictable loser. There is a lot to it, and I can sort of see where, for example, Lost in Translation, despite feeling like a more sophisticated version of the film, still presenting a woman lost in a society and a culture. I'm not talking about Japan. Just the society and culture that is sort of created around her and scrabbling for meaning. Southern Manhattan dug its heels in 1996 and should definitely be seen. But also Good Luck to You, Leo Grand came to mind, which a bit of a different tack, but written by Katie Brand, directed by Sophie Hyde, starring Emma Thompson. I have mentioned this a bit before, especially those sweet patrons. They've gone a little bit more. But it's a sex positive and wry look at sex politics with a female gaze and the oft overlooked perspective of someone who has lived the life as opposed to Adrienne Shelley's Donna, and already believe they've gotten to the point where they should have it figured out and miss their chance for a lot of self-discovery. Very worth watching, and came out, I was about to say yesterday, but if years were days, then yesterday.
Fucking yesterday, mate. My one is a slightly darker thing, but a similar situation of an actor who then had a shot at, took a turn at directing, and it didn't get enough attention.
Okay.
It was certainly not the attention it deserved. And then she sort of died tragically young, this time of breast cancer. And I mentioned it earlier, and it is Barbara Loden's Wanda.
Okay.
Barbara Loden being, a very accomplished actor, but as a director, often described as like the female John Cassavetes, and just a huge hitter in the sort of 1970s American indie thing. I say hitter, like, I don't know how successful her film was at the time. Wanda recently made Sight and Sound's top 100 list, as well it should. It's just an extraordinary film. It's just about a woman who doesn't, in a much darker way, she is dissatisfied with her life. She has already walked out on her husband and kids. She's gone home to meet her parents, to live with her parents for a while, but at the beginning of the movie she sets out and ends up sort of falling in with this bank robber. And so it's kind of this crime movie, but it's absolutely just the part of the crime movie you don't see. It's the parts where they're in hotel rooms and, they're just sort of dealing with the two characters and their personalities, and we're kind of getting a sense of what it is that she's attracted to and what it is she needs from this relationship. Yeah. It's like a dark Bonnie and Clyde, but, obviously it's building up to this sort of one bank robbery and how that's going to go. And it's quite a dark film, and it's also just so poetic and beautiful and lyrical, and Barbara Loden's in it playing Wanda as well as directing it, and her performance is so incredible. She's just playing a character that you don't make the center of a movie. The sort of ditzy, means well, but is quite like unintelligent, but I don't mean that as an insult. It's just a thing about her, you know, and it's just not the kind of person that you would see as the center of a movie, but here it is, and it's just magnetic and beautiful and gorgeous, and there's something so unpretentious about the way that she shoots it that I think it's really a marvel. So that's the one better thing. The one better thing.
Thank you very much.
And it's not one better thing because you should definitely check out Sudden Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Waitress probably, which I'm also going to try and do.
Yeah, Ellen and Jenny both mentioned it, and I'm just going to appropriate that opinion wholesale without verifying it for myself. I'm smart.
Yeah. Jenny in the context of a film that she quite likes, and Ellen in the context of a thing she might do, which also includes anything you want.
Oh, fantastic. I do think that Jenny in the context of a film she likes does sound like a film that you would like.
Jenny in the context. Jenny from the block and Jenny in the context is what I enjoy from my musical acts. But how can people find out about our musical facts? Because we like to sing facts at people.
It is amazing how much certitude and truth comes out of our absolute fucking nonsense. How much actually...
Fucking rhymes.
How much... Yes, that too. And in all the lines. And how much of it, when you think about it, actually shapes up to be legitimate musical facts. So much so that noted music journalist that I'm aware of, Michael Azarad, has stolen so many of them.
Oh my god!
And it's different to when we steal the questions of Ben Goldstein.
Yeah, Ben Goldstein.
I'm going to say Ben Goldstein. He's the author. He's the medical writer of he exposes a lot of like fads, hoax, diets and
same
things.
guy.
That's Ben Goldacre. What am I doing?
And he also plays. Ben Goldacre also plays Roy Kent
and Hercules
and Hercules.
But
and that's why he's so hot.
And the thing is, if you listen to all of that just came out of my mouth, seemingly as if without any prior thought, there is a very, very interesting fact about the musician John Grant. So and I think you can find more of that by listening to more of our episodes. If you love the show, why not give us a review? You can tell us about it on Twitter and Facebook at OGT Pod, where we also put out the call for the OG teams. So stay sharp, listeners. Keep those ears peeled
out there
and those eyes bleeding, because you don't need them in podcast land. And if you really love the show and you want to help out the old pools, why not sign up to our Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month or £1, I forget which one where we set the currency there, but
whichever one you like.
For as little as one money, you get hundreds and hundreds of hours of extra content, most of which is really cogent and profound.
Oh god, some of it's practically coherent.
Some of it's practically, yes, and you can find out more at patreon.com/OGTpod. And why not check out our D&D podcast, Quest Fantastic? It's like this.
Why not?
But with someone way more respectable in control.
Oh god, I would appreciate that.
She's so fucking good and stuff.
Ugh. I'm Paul Spectable.
I'm so good and stuff, but honestly, no one listens. I just have to go along with it now.
Come on, guys. Tune in. Blackout. And remember, the one good thing about Sudden Manhattan is Adrian Shelley and her absolute ability to just suddenly Manhattan.